I'm Crystal Craven, a singer, a songwriter, and a worship leader who's passionate about sharing what God inspires. And this is your weekly devotional. Luke 5:16 says, "But he would withdraw to desolate places and pray." And this is speaking of Jesus. Continually, just throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus withdrawing to these desolate places in between serving, and it was to spend time in prayer with his Father. I mean, think about how different his effectiveness in ministry would have been if he wouldn't have intentionally set this time aside. Oftentimes, I think Jesus is thought of as somehow like supernaturally more empowered than us when he was here fulfilling his earthly ministry because he's God. But we do have to remember that just because he didn't separate himself from his deity didn't mean that he wasn't also fully human like us. He was 100% God and 100% man. So yes, he lived perfectly, but he was made to be like us in every respect. So he was tempted in the same ways. He got tired and had to sleep the way we do. He got hungry and had to eat. I mean, he pooped like us, so he was fully human, and we can't set this aside. He is our merciful and faithful high priest because he can relate to our humanness. If you separate his humanness from his deity in your own mind, you can't effectively follow his example, and there's also going to be a hindrance in your relationship to him. It speaks of this in Hebrews chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 14 through 15 and 17 through 18. It says, "Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. Therefore, he had to be made like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted." Now there's, the age-old question of why. And it bears the question, why was he in the habit of withdrawing to pray, and why to desolate places? This habit of praying was a discipline for him. He was here to fulfill a mission, and that required him doing and saying what the Father told him. But how was he to do that if he wasn't in the habit of communicating with the Father? He would go to the synagogue and read from the scrolls the way that we read our Bibles, and he had that open line of communication through prayer. So why he went to these desolate places may seem kind of odd in our modern day culture, where Christians are often praying together, in small groups, or pastors and leaders are praying in front of congregations. And there isn't anything wrong with open and public prayer. There is a place for corporate prayer. But Jesus made it obvious that a personal prayer life is necessary to get through our life. When we pray in public, there's an inherently just an aspect of consciousness, because we're before other people. And in some cases, this can create a hypocrisy in us, as Jesus had mentioned in Matthew 6, when he taught his disciples how to pray. When we pray in private, just one-on-one with the Lord, there's the ability to be completely open and honest and raw with your Creator. And when we choose isolated places, it allows us to pray completely undistracted from outside things and just devote that time and attention to talking with God. Now, a last little tidbit here to glean from was that Jesus knew when to serve and then when to withdraw and pray. I mean, great crowds would gather, and follow him. And while he did sometimes serve them first and then withdraw to pray, other times he simply withdrew to pray first. And we just need to remember, we don't need to be constantly serving, but we should always be praying without ceasing. So how do we implement the habit? I really just want to ask the question, how often are you praying and just setting aside that time, not just before meals or before bedtime, but time dedicated during the day just to prayer. If you don't already have that habit of setting aside time to pray every day, today is the day to start. And I personally found that having a written prayer list helps me as I just sit before the Lord in prayer, and I bring my requests, my intercessions, and my thanksgiving before Him. So I would encourage you to find just whatever works for you, to remember to be in regular prayer with your Father, just as Jesus did. And ultimately, it comes down to, if the sinless Son of God made a habit of praying, then us as a sinful people need to be in this habit as well. For blogs, written devotionals, and originally written songs, visit crystalcravenmusic.com, and that's Crystal with a K.